Thank you very much, dear devotees, once again for kindly being present here today. Our tradition is to begin with Mangalacharan, auspicious invocations, and we perform Mangalacharan so that there are no obstacles on the path of attaining success in whatever we do. So yesterday I experienced some obstacle on my path into entering Europe. I'll tell you something. Because when you enter Europe, there are officers who ask you why you are here. And English is not my first language. So I said, I am here. Why am I here? I said, I am here just to visit and visit some temples. And who's taking care of you? So I said, I have devotees. So he looked at me and said, you have devotees? Then I realized English is not my first language. What I wanted to say is, Krishna has devotees and they are taking care of me. So I was about to be sent back to India, but fortunately I could explain my way somehow and enter into Europe. Then I realized I did not perform Mangalacharan before speaking to him. So before we begin something, we should perform Mangalacharan, auspicious invocations. Most of us know these prayers. You can kindly sing along with me. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupah Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namah. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gatadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So we'll begin with a statement by Srila Prabhupada, and this statement is in front of us. Somebody who has a loud enough voice. Prabhu, you have a loud enough voice? Yes, you can read, Prabhuji. Your good name, Prabhu? Okay, yes. Prabhu, kindly read what Srila Prabhupada says in Purport to Bhagavad Gita 9.3.
The third class person in Krishna consciousness may fall down, but when one is in the second class, he does not fall down. And for the first class person in Krishna consciousness, there is no chance of falling down.
So, Srila Prabhupada is specifying here that the third class, now by class he means somebody who is Kanishtha Adhikari, A Kanishta Adhikari may fall from the process of bhakti very easily. A second class person or a Madhyam Adhikari, for them it is very difficult to fall. And the first class is someone who has attained Krishna Prem. For somebody who has attained Krishna Prem, there is absolutely no falling down from this path. But since it is a long route before most of us attain to the stage of Prem and become first class, therefore most of us belong to the second class, or if you are like me, you belong to the third class. But dear devotees, I am very happy that I have the association of all of you, because amongst all of you I can have the confidence to speak about these topics. Many of us have heard about how we advance in bhakti, but it is difficult to hear about how we fall from bhakti. And it's important to hear about the symptoms of falling from bhakti. And I can only speak this in front of all of you devotees who are like-minded. It is important to glorify the audience before we start. And there is a verse in the Subhashit literature which glorifies like-minded audience such as all of you. So this verse is dedicated to all of you, dear devotees. I'll sing the verse. The verse is in the meter Shardul Vikriditam, same as Shad Goswami Ashtakam. Kindly repeat after me. Drishyante bhuvi bhuri nimbatarava kutrapite chandana. Drishyante bhuvi bhuri nimbatarava kutrapite chandana. Pashanai paripurita vasumati vajro manir durlabha. Pashanai paripurita vasumati vajro manir durlabha. Shruyante karataravascha satatam chaitre kuhu kujitam. Shruyante karataravascha satatam chaitre kuhu kujitam. Tanmanye khala sankulam jagadidam dvitrakshitau sajjana. Tanmanye khala sankulam jagadidam dvitrakshitau sajjana. Drishyante bhuvi bhuri nimbatarava. On this earth, if you see, there are plenty of useless trees. And one of the most useless trees, they say, is the neem tree, because it is bitter. But kutrapite chandana. But sandalwood trees you will find only few. Everywhere you go, you will find useless trees are greater in number. Jai. Shri Radha Gopinath Ji ki jai. Thorny trees, bitter trees, they are in plenty. But chandan tree, sandalwood, you will not find easily. Pashanai puripurita vasumati. Vasumati, the earth, is filled with stones. And most stones are useless. Vajro manir durlabha. But diamonds, very rare to be found. You can compare the number of stones and diamonds on this planet. You will see how rare diamonds are. You can compare the number of ordinary trees and sandalwood trees. You will see how sandalwood trees are rare. Shruyante karataravascha. And where I stay in India, it is very common to hear the sound of one bird. Which bird is the most commonly heard in India? Crow. The crows are most commonly heard. But Chaitre kuhu kujitam. Only in the spring season you hear the wonderful sound of the cuckoo. Tan manye. Therefore I certainly believe. Khalasankulam jagadidam. The world is filled with useless people. But dvitra khalu sajjana. But devotees like all of you are very handful. They are devotees. That is how rare all of you are. And I am very grateful to be in the presence of all of you. Thank you so much, because I could not speak these topics in front of anybody else. all of you are present here, and you are the wonderful audience because of whom I am able to speak these topics. So this is the translation. The bitter neem trees are commonly seen everywhere on planet Earth, whereas sandalwood trees are rarely found. The earth is filled with useless rocks, whereas diamonds are extremely rare. The cawing of crows is commonly heard everywhere, whereas the cooing of the cuckoo is heard mainly in the spring season. Similarly, this world is full of useless bitter people, whereas saintly souls like all of you are only a handful. Thank you, dear devotees, for kindly being present here today. As I said, it is very common to discuss amongst devotees how one rises on the path, and how one rises on the path is given by none other than our previous Acharya Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. Srila Rupa Goswami has specified in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu how one rises on the path of bhakti, and many of you might have heard these set of verses. But still we will repeat these verses so that we can understand how one rises on the path. Please repeat after me. Adau Shraddha Tatah Sadhu Sangotha Bhajana Kriya Tado Nartha Nivritti Syat Tato Nishtha Ruchistata Tatha Saktis Tato Bhava Tatah Prema Bhyudanchati. Srila Rupa Goswami says, Adau Shraddha. The first stage is Shraddha. What is Shraddha? Faith. Faith in Shastra. Faith in Shastra, faith in devotional literature especially, is termed as Shraddha. Because when a person is absolutely new on the path, they do not have immediate faith on Krishna. They do not have immediate faith on a particular personality as Guru. They first receive a book and some initial sadhu sangha, and they have faith in that Shastra, based on which they develop further stages of bhakti. Tatah sadhu sango, then they receive the association of saintly souls. Then bhajan kriya, followed by genuine investment in the acts of bhakti. Then when one's bhakti is genuine, then comes anartha nivritti, removal of all unwanted desires. Then nishtha, firm faith in the process. Ruchi, first attraction towards Bhagavan. Then asakti, deep attachment towards Bhagavan. And finally bhav. Bhav is one step before prema. And finally prema arises as a result of such bhav. This, dear devotees, is how we are supposed to progress. But how many of us are walking straight on the path? Please raise your hand. No. You see, Sri Rupa Goswami said one thing. Aheriva gati premna. The path of prema is as crooked as a serpent. It's as crooked as a serpent. Not only before attaining prema, but also after attaining prema, Krishna does not always behave in a straightforward manner. We'll see that in Padyavali. We'll also see it in the imperfections of Bhagavan talk. But usually people are not able to progress in a straightforward manner. And therefore, Srila Jiva Goswami quotes a verse which is very significant about attainment of bhakti. And this verse says that bhakti is hindered by thousands of obstacles. Here is the verse that Sri Jiva Goswami specifies in the Bhakti Sandarbha. Please repeat after me. Satyam shatena vignanam sahasrena tatha tapah vignayutena govinde nranam bhaktir nivaryate. Satyam shatena, speaking the truth is hindered by 100 obstacles. Usually, if you want to speak the truth, there may be 100 obstacles to hinder that. Sahasrena tatha tapaha. And if you want to execute austerities, there may be 1,000 obstacles to that. But Vigna Ayutena Govindendranam Bhaktir. But bhakti doesn't have 100 or 1000. It is hindered by 10,000 obstacles in this age. This is the situation. And how many of you feel that bhakti is hindered by 10,000 obstacles in this age? It is common experience. So very important verse. Bhakti is hindered by 10,000 obstacles. And the root of those 10,000 obstacles, if you try to analyze, is lack of simplicity in the heart of the devotee. That is what it is. The root of those 10,000 obstacles is lack of simplicity. Therefore, dear devotees, simplicity is synonymous with bhakti. Bhakti is very easy for those who are riju. Riju means simple-hearted. But it is very difficult for those whose hearts are crooked. Now, why is someone's heart crooked and why is someone's heart simple? The seed lies in previous lives and how we have executed bhakti previously. Accordingly, somebody's heart is crooked, somebody's heart is very simple. Even astrologically, in material nature, some people are born under some constellations which makes them very simple-minded. Some people are born under certain constellations which make them very crooked. Even in material nature, you will see astrologically, some moon signs make a person very simple-minded. And then they are advised that you should be careful in the world, otherwise anyone will cheat you. And some people are very shrewd in their dealings. Why? Because of influence of previous lives. Same also goes with bhakti. Because of influence of previous lives, previous nature, one is not able to put simple faith in Bhagavan and in the devotee association. Srila Jiva Goswami quotes a pastime, a historical incident that took place. He says, Vishnu Dharmadi Udahritaya. In the Vishnu Dharma Puran, there is a historical incident mentioned. Shri Bhagavad Griha Deepa Tailam. There was a temple, and in that temple there was a lamp which was glowing. Pibantyah Kasyachin Mushikaya. Suddenly a mouse entered the temple and started drinking on the oil of that lamp. And Daivato Mukhodrita Vartau Dipe Samujvalite. Suddenly the mouse caught fire and the mouse sustained face injuries because of that fire. Mukhadahena Maranat. The mouse died. But because the mouse was feeding on the lamp of Bhagavan, therefore it got that piety by which the mouse took the next birth as a queen. And having taken another birth as a queen, in that birth, that queen had special affection for offering lamps to Bhagavan. After that birth, the queen attained perfection and attained Bhagavan's abode. It's a very simple pastime. Now the mouse died due to face burn injuries because it was drinking the oil from the lamp and ended up becoming a queen. In that life, she offered various lamps and attained steadiness in her bhakti and finally attained the highest destination. Now this pastime may be perceived by different individuals in different ways. Please try to understand. Sri Jiva Goswami is giving this example to show how easy bhakti is. How easy it is. That particular mouse did not have to wake up at 4:30 every morning. Sorry, waking up is at 3:30, not 4:30. Coming to temple is at 4:30. You didn't have to wake up every morning at 3:30 and come to temple and execute sadhan bhakti for its entire life. Just one unknown act of piety was sufficient to deliver the mouse into such a pious birth, wherein in that birth as queen also she had to perform one main act, that is offering lamps. It is as simple as that. Now some of us may think, see, this is all right. Sometimes some incidents are exaggerated in Shastra. I hope you are able to understand. so that by hearing such incidents, people will start offering lamps to Bhagwan. So, when people start thinking like this feeling that some incidents are exaggerated in Shastra in order to influence us to perform bhakti. There is a technical name for that. I will speak that technical name. Please repeat after me. Arthavad. So what is Arthavad? Arthavad means some things have been exaggerated in Shastra in order to influence people. This is called as Arthavad. Arthavad works both ways. Sometimes Shastra praises something very highly. Sometimes Shastra criticizes something very highly. So there are many places in Shastra where there is actual Arthavad. There is Arthavad in Shastra. Especially when Shastra speaks about going to Swarga, going to heaven. For example, in the Vedas it is mentioned, Apama Somam Amrita Abhuma. We drank Soma juice and we became immortal. So, there are many people who extracted Soma juice for performing a Vedic sacrifice. After offering Soma juice in the Vedic sacrifice, they drank the remnants of the Devatas, but they did not become immortal. So, why was Shastra speaking something which was not the reality? The reason is that Shastra encourages people in certain ways. This is called Arthavad, dear devotees. There may be Arthavad in many places in Shastra, but there is no Arthavad when it comes to bhakti. We have to understand. There may be Arthavad in any other section of Shastra, but there is no Arthavad when it comes to bhakti. Such incidents have actually taken place. Now, dear devotees, for some of us it may be still very difficult to believe that by uttering one Harinam a person can be delivered. Isn't it? Here we are having spent decades and decades, and we are still, more or less we feel in the same place that we were when we began. And Shastra speaks of people who have attained perfection even after uttering one Harinam. So what is wrong, dear devotees? Either Shastra is speaking something incorrectly, or either we have understood something incorrectly. So dear devotees, we have to understand something. This feeling of Arthavad enters into a devotee's mind. And when Arthavad enters into a devotee's mind, Sri Jiva Goswami says, it is very difficult for a devotee to progress after that. Many of us have the experience that the initial few years we made rapid progress. How many of us have that experience? Yes. Then suddenly something entered our mind. What entered our mind? Arthavad. Arthavad means it is not exactly as it is promised to be. This feeling, when it entered into our mind, that is when progress was stunted. Sri Jiva Goswami quotes a verse from the Shastra to illustrate this point. Please repeat after me. The verse is in the meter Vasant Tilakam, same as Brahma Samhita. Mannam kirtana phalam vividham nishamya na shraddhati manute yadutarthavadam yo manushastamiha dukkha chaye kshipami samsara ghora vividharti nipiditangam. In the Bhakti Sandarbha, there is Bhagwan's statement. Man nama kirtana phalam vividham nishamya. Even after hearing the various auspicious results of my Nam Kirtan, na shraddha dhati. There is an unfortunate person who doesn't put faith in them. Manute yaduta, but instead thinks that all such statements are arthavadam, they are arthavad or exaggerations. Yo manushas, anyone who thinks like this, tamiha dukkha chaye kshipami. such a person, even though they may be a devotee, they fall into a network of sorrows and they experience distress due to the various pains of this horrible world. This, dear devotees, is very important for us to understand. Bhagavan wants a person who is fully pure and simple at heart, because there is no question of attaining prema for those who are crooked. There is no meaning to prema if we have some crookedness within ourselves. Dear devotees, I will ask you a very simple question. In this world, when two people fall in love with each other, what is the basic expectation that both of them have towards each other? The basic expectation.
You make me happy.
That's okay. That is a consequence of falling in relationship. The basic expectation that a lover and beloved have from each other.
Selflessly. To be loved.
To be?
To love.
To love, okay. But you will be faithful and honest towards me. This is the foundation. That trust is the foundation of any relationship. Similarly, Bhagavan and the devotee have a relationship based on trust. Crookedness is to hide something apart from that relationship. I hope you are able to understand. And see, cheating in relationships happens on various levels. Sometimes a lover speaks a lie to the beloved. That is also cheating. All the way up to the lover falls in love with somebody else. That is the highest level of cheating. But to hide something, to be dishonest, to not be truthful, and to not exhibit trust in a relationship, that is what is deceitfulness, cheating tendency. And this cheating tendency is one of the 4 defects of the living entity. Now Bhagavan can tolerate all the other defects, all the 4 defects, but not this one. No? This one defect Bhagavan doesn't like to tolerate. That is cheating tendency. And therefore, as soon as crookedness enters into the heart of a devotee, Bhagavan immediately decides that this is where the devotee has to pause for some time. Why? Because unless this devotee voluntarily comes out of their cheating tendency, till that time there is no point in forcing them to advance. I'll ask you a very simple question again. Let's say in the material world we fall in love with somebody. A boy falls in love with a girl and a girl falls in love with a boy. And one of them discovers that the other person is not truthful to me. Would you like to force them to be truthful, or would you like them to realize that they should be truthful? What do you want? Realize. Bhagavan is also of similar nature. Bhagavan can easily force us to be truthful. But instead Bhagavan says it is better that this devotee realizes that I should be simple-hearted and not crooked. Prema is very simple. It's very simple for somebody who has a very simple heart. But it is very difficult for somebody who is crooked. Dear devotees, therefore Sri Jiva Goswami says, please repeat after me, Yathartha eva tan mahatmye satyapi yatra samprati tad bhajane phalodayo na drishyate. So even though the glories of Nam are factual, Yathartha eva, but Yatra samprati tad bhajane phalodayo na drishyate. Because of this aparad of crookedness, thinking that Nam cannot give so much result. How can Nam give such a big result? How can such a simple thing as uttering Bhagavan's Nam give such a big result? Please tell me. There are people who are executing Ashwamedh Yajna. You know, so many fire sacrifices. There are people who are doing Ashtanga Yoga. There are people who are doing taking so many hardships. How can you say that Bhagavan's Nam is greater than all of that? Please tell me. Jai Shri Radha Gopinath Ji ki jai. On what basis can you say that a person who utters Bhagwan's Naam is greater than a person who is executing Ashtanga Yoga or a fire sacrifice in Treta Yoga. You know, a person who executes fire sacrifice, you have to sit for hours and hours in front of that Yagya Kund. Your body burns because of the continuous fire, and you are saying Swaha, Swaha constantly. And after many hours of such fire sacrifice, somebody walks up to you and says, but uttering one Harinam is greater than all of this. It's very difficult to believe. Therefore, Sri Jiva Goswami says, we are unable to see nowadays. He says Sampriti, nowadays, during his time. Nowadays, we are unable to see the result of performing bhakti because this crookedness has grasped people's mind that Harinam cannot be greater than Yagya or austerities, etc. Dear devotees, why is uttering one Harinam greater than so many austerities? I will tell you why. Because when Shastra says that you have to utter Harinam, it includes one very important quality, that is prema. And that prema is what adds the weight which makes it greater than all those austerities and executing fire sacrifices. And I will give a very simple example. Prabhu, your good name?
Rai Ramananda Das.
Rai Ramanand Prabhu. Rai Ramanand Prabhu and me are friends. We are friends, Prabhu, right? Okay. So, Rai Ramanand Prabhu says, one fine day, after Nirjala Ekadashi, he is very hungry on Dwadashi. And he has me as friend and Premananda Prabhu as friend. So, I say to Rai Ramanand Prabhu, Prabhu, I have prepared for you 2 truckloads of popcorn. And Premanand Prabhu says, I have prepared for you one small thali, one small plate, but it contains rice, roti, nice sabjis, a few things. So Rai Ramanand Prabhu, whose offer are you going to take up? Mine or Premanand Prabhu's?
Go for it, sir.
Prabhu, I have 2 truckloads of popcorn. So, even though I have a much higher quantity of substance to offer to you, because it is devoid of what you actually want, therefore you do not place so much value upon it. And although he has something of much lesser quantity, but because it is what you want, therefore you are placing higher emphasis on it. Bhagwan also thinks like you, Rai Ramanand Prabhu. Bhagwan also thinks like you. Bhagwan also wants something. Bhagwan doesn't really want the austerities involved in rituals, but Bhagwan wants that prema to finally come up. Therefore, one Harinam which is uttered with prema is considered to be much greater than all these fire sacrifices and penances. Sri Jiva Goswami quotes the example of Maharaj Nriga. Dear devotees, how many of you have heard of Maharaj Nriga? His example comes up in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Dear devotees, one fine day, I will tell you this very wonderful incident. One fine day, the sons of Bhagavan Shri Krishna, Samba, Pradyumna, Charu, Gada, all of them were playing on the borders of Dwarka. And they saw a big abandoned well. And when they were very curious, this well was dry. They looked inside the well. They saw a monitor lizard, a very big lizard inside that well. Nowadays you can say Komodo dragon. They saw a Komodo dragon inside the well. And they wanted to keep it as a pet. So the boys, because they had never seen such a creature, so they wanted to keep it as a pet. So they tried to pull it out of the well, but no matter how much they tried, it wouldn't come out. So finally, they went back to Dwarka and they told their father, Shri Krishna, that we saw a wonderful creature inside the well, we want it as a pet. Why don't you help us? Bring it home. So Shri Krishna accompanied them to the well, and Shri Krishna just extended his left hand down the well, and as he was pulling the creature out of the well, the creature suddenly transformed into Maharaj Nriga. So, and when that creature transformed into Maharaj Nriga, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, although he knew everything, Bhagavan Sri Krishna said, my goodness, who are you? How did you come, how did you become this lizard in the well? So this creature who just turned into Maharaj Nriga, he started boasting about himself. Now hear what Maharaj Nriga said at that time. Shri Krishna, in your early morning assembly, when you enter into the assembly, you might have heard the names of very big charitable kings, whose names are recited. For example, Maharaj Ikshwaku, Maharaj Bharat, Maharaj Dilip, Maharaj Bhagirath, who brought the Ganga down. You might have heard one name in that name, Maharaj Nriga. So Krishna said, yes, I have heard that name. Do you know who is Nriga? So Krishna knew who is Nriga. Krishna said, no, I am that Nriga. Acha? If you are that Nriga, what are you doing in a well? So he said, I gave so many cows as charity, as many stars there are in the sky. He's boasting about himself. I gave so many cows as charity, as many particles of dust there are on planet Earth. Now he's clearly boasting, because you cannot have so many cows as many particles there are on planet Earth. But then I made one mistake, and then the mistake was, once I had donated one cow to a particular Brahmana, that cow accidentally ran away from his cowshed and came back into my cowshed, and I happened to donate it to another Brahmana. And because of that, the two Brahmanas came to me and said, you have donated the same cow twice, that is a fault. So I told the Brahmanas, one of you give up your claim over the cow. Both the Brahmanas gave up their claim. Fair enough, because Brahmanas are supposed to be detached, they gave up their claim over the cow. Life went on as usual, and I died. After I died, I was thinking that I will attain liberation, but I came face to face with Yamraj. Now, usually this was not supposed to happen, because Yamraj says that, Jivvana Bhakti Bhagavad Gunanamadhyam. Oh, Yamadutas, don't bring anyone to me who chants the name of Bhagavan. But I saw myself face to face with Yamaraj, and Yamaraj said, welcome Maharaj Nriga. You have a lot of pious reactions remaining and one little impious reaction. Please tell me, what would you like to have first? Dear devotees, if you are in Maharaj Nriga's place, what will you select? Pious first or impious first?
Impious.
Honest? Honest?
Huh?
Honest reply?
Yeah.
Pious.
Pious, okay. So we have one exception here. How many of you would select impious reaction first? See, the majority want to face the impious reaction first, because later when we enjoy, we don't want any hindrances. So let's say if he would have selected pious first, then that splinter would be stuck in his mind. At the end of all of this, there is going to be an impious reaction. So Maharaj Nrig wanted to get that splinter out of his mind. So he said impious first. So Yamaraj told him, let me tell you what is going to happen. You will become a monitor lizard in a well and stay there for many years because of that impious reaction. And now let me tell you what is going to happen after that. After that, you will see Bhagavan Krishna face to face. So dear devotees, Sri Jiva Goswami says, why did Maharaj Nriga face this one impious reaction? And Sri Jiva Goswami says, because Maharaj Nriga always had this mindset. Much better than chanting Harinam is to give charity of hundreds and thousands of cows. I hope you are able to understand. Much better than performing bhakti is to give charity. Because performing bhakti, what will the society get? If I give charity, the society will get something concrete. So, much better than bhakti is to render acts of charity. Although charity is very good, it is highly glorified. But when Arthavad entered into the mind of Maharaj Riga, it gradually snowballed into one negative effect which gave him that reaction of taking birth as a monitor lizard in the well. This, dear devotees, is what Arthavad does to us. Dear devotees, Sri Jiva Goswami says, if we have become affected by this Arthavad, if we have become not so simple on this path, we will notice there are 5 symptoms. Please repeat after me the 5 symptoms that we will find. Kautilyam. Kautilyam is step 1, or symptom 1. You will start noticing some crookedness. In dealings with Bhagavan, in dealings with the devotees, you will start noticing some crookedness. When we are greeting the devotees, we are unable to look at them in the eye and say, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Why? Because we know we have something to hide. Therefore, we are unable to look at them in the eye. Because a person who has a clear conscience has no hesitation in looking at somebody in the eye and with a smile saying, Hare Krishna Prabhu, how are you doing today? But a person who is crooked in their heart towards another person will hide themselves, or will fake a smile. So, crookedness. Second, please repeat. Ashraddha. Gradually, that person starts developing lack of faith in Shastra. The faith in Shastra which was present initially starts getting eroded. Third, Bhagavan, Nishtha, Chyavakas, Tu, Antarabhinivesha. Suddenly, after a few years of bhakti, the material world starts appearing attractive again. Some of you might have noticed. Suddenly, after a decade or two, the mind starts saying, well, the world outside is not so bad after all. Some things are really good outside. Fourth, Bhakti Shaithilyam. Gradually, bhakti gets slackened. We will notice slackening of bhakti. And fifth, Swabhakti, Adi, Kritamanitvam. And whatever acts of bhakti we have done, we will start exhibiting pride in that. Like Nriga. Or whatever acts of charity we do, whatever piety we do, we will start exhibiting pride in that. So all these symptoms, if we are noticing one or more, something is not going in the proper direction. Let's take the first one, dear devotees. What is the first one? Kautilyam, crookedness. Dear devotees, crookedness is the first one. Sri Jiva Goswami reminds us of how Krishna dealt with Duryodhana. Dear devotees, when the Pandavas and Kauravas were about to have a war, they tried many techniques to prevent the war. Finally, one personality was selected as the peacemaker. Which personality? Krishna was selected as the peacemaker. Krishna went as the peacemaker, and all Krishna was asking was that you give 5 villages to the Pandavas. Just give 5 villages to the Pandavas, Pandavas will be happy. And there was a reason why Krishna was asking for only 5 villages. Krishna knew that Duryodhana was so crooked that he will not even give 5 villages. And Krishna wanted to impress this upon the world, that he would rather die rather than giving 5 villages. But when Krishna came to Hastinapur, he was welcomed by Dhritarashtra and he was welcomed by Duryodhana, and Duryodhana said, I have prepared a big feast for you. Why don't you come and honor food with me? Dear devotees, at that time the exact statement that Krishna made in Mahabharata is in front of you. These are Krishna's own words in the Mahabharata. Sampriti bhojyanyannani apad bhojyani va punaha nacha sampriya se rajan nachaiva padgatavayam. Sampriti bhojyani anyan. There are only two circumstances in which food can be accepted at another's home. First, sampriti bhojyani, when there is affection between the host and the guest. And second, apad bhojyani, when there is an emergency. These are the only two situations in which you can accept food at somebody's home. Nacha sampriyase rajan, King Duryodhan, I know that you don't love me. First condition cannot be satisfied. Na chaiva apad gatavayam, and I am also not in an emergency situation. Therefore, Duryodhan, I will not accept food at your home. At whose home will you accept? Vidur, that Shudra. You will go accept food at that Shudra's home? Krishna? Yeah, because one condition is satisfied. Which condition, dear devotees?
Affection.
Yeah, that Shudra has affection for me. Therefore, I will go to that Shudra's home and accept food at his home, but I will not accept at yours. This, dear devotees, is Bhagwan's mindset. So we have to understand how Bhagwan thinks. And Bhagwan very clearly told Duryodhan, Nacha sampriyase rajan, I know you don't love me. I know you don't love me. Because if you would love me, what is love? Please tell me. What is prema? In one line, if I have to ask you, what is prema?
Unconditional love.
That is a translation, alright, unconditional love. What is prema?
To be happy to please another person.
To be happy to please another person. We are very close. The ability to sacrifice one's own happiness for the happiness of somebody else. If that is not present, then we don't have prema. Duryodhan, your happiness is in keeping the kingdom. And my happiness is that you give half of the kingdom to Yudhishthir. Duryodhan, if you would have loved me, you would have agreed, even before I entered into this kingdom, you would have agreed to give half the kingdom to Yudhishthir. You say you love me. Duryodhan, do you really love me? No. And I am not in a situation of emergency that I will accept food at your home. Therefore, Sri Jiva Goswami quotes this very wonderful example from the Mahabharata as to how Bhagwan deals with people who are crooked. Dear devotees, sometimes we may think I behaved in a crooked manner with this devotee, and I'll get away with it. Nobody is going to notice. Bhagwan has his way of noticing every small crookedness that we exhibit in every small dealing that we have every single day and every single moment. Before the crookedness is exhibited by our senses, crookedness first enters into the heart, and there is somebody who sees that crookedness before we even bring it into action. Who notices that crookedness? Bhagwan notices it. And Bhagwan also notices the degree of crookedness to which a person is behaving. And all the finer details of that crookedness are noted by Bhagwan, and Bhagwan keeps a stock of all of that. And so Bhagwan arranges that the universe will pay back our crookedness in some way or the other. So no crookedness will be left unpaid. We may think that we got away by treating a certain devotee in a certain way. We may think that we got away by not behaving properly with a certain person and nobody is going to notice. But it will definitely have its effect sooner or later. Have no doubt about it. And if somebody has misbehaved with you or has dealt with you in a crooked way, you do not need to do anything to pay back. Bhagwan has already arranged. By their very act of crookedness, they have sown a seed which in due course of time will fructify and have its effect in their lives. This, dear devotees, is the example of crookedness that Sri Jiva Goswami has given. Now, dear devotees, in the world outside, in the material world outside, crookedness is compulsory. Straight trees are cut first, crooked trees are left alone. That is what Chanakya Pandit says. Don't be so straightforward in the world outside. Straight trees are the first ones to be cut and crooked trees are left alone. But if we bring the same mindset in our relationship with Bhagavan, then we will suffer. Therefore, in the Gita, there is a statement where Prabhupada says, keep devotional service far away from all the activities of this material world. When we are dealing with Bhagavan, we are not dealing with a crooked individual of this material world. Our Sri Krishna may be crooked, in his dealings, but he is not materially crooked. He is crooked in his prema, but he expects the sadhaka, the devotee, to be very straightforward in heart in dealing with him. So that is what Bhagavan is expecting from us. One example of crookedness is often seen while serving prasadam. I like this verse very much, and this verse is a Sanskrit verse which was framed by a poet from Maharashtra in India. Dear devotees, Maharashtra is the state from where I come in India. In my childhood, I attended many wedding ceremonies, and in wedding ceremonies, they make you sit in a straight line. Like in Mayapur, they make you sit in a straight line, and the plates are kept in front of you, and the servers come and serve, one by one everything, rice, dal, everything. And then finally what comes is the ghee. That ghee has to be put on top of the rice. So one fine day there was a poet, his name is Keshav Sutta. He was sitting in such a wedding ceremony, and they were serving rice, dal, everything. And suddenly the person who was serving ghee, he was serving in such a way that minimum amount of ghee should fall on the rice. Minimum amount of ghee should fall. So he was just one quick swipe, and moving ahead. One quick swipe and moving ahead. So he was sitting, suddenly the person who served ghee came and one quick swipe and moved ahead. And at that time, he said something which he later put into a Sanskrit verse. This Sanskrit verse is in front of you. Dear devotees, please repeat after me. Sancharini Kanchana Vallariva Vidyullatava Patitana Bhastha Ghritasya Dhara Patitana Jane Divam Gatavat Bhuvam Gatavat. See, ghee is golden in color. So he said, what happened? Was it a golden chain running away from me? Or Vidyul Latava? Or was it golden lightning which struck from the sky and immediately disappeared? Ghritasya Dhara, this golden ghee, what happened? Na jane, I don't know. Divam Gatava tha Bhuvam Gatava. Did it enter into the earth or did it go back up in the sky like the lightning? Wherever it went, I am sure it didn't go in my plate. So, oh my goodness, what was that? Was that a golden chain running away from me? Or was that a golden flash of lightning falling from the sky? That stream of golden ghee, where did it go? Did it disappear in the sky or did it enter the earth? Wherever it went, I am pretty sure it didn't fall on my plate. So, crookedness is exhibited in many ways. One of the ways is serving prasadam. Dear devotees. Somebody says, I don't want more. No, Prabhu, you take more. Forcibly. Or somebody says, I want more. No, Prabhu, we can't give you more. No, Prabhu, we can't give you more is honesty. But, yeah, Prabhu, take more. And you give very little. Take more. So that is, dear devotees, crookedness. And that enters into the heart of the devotee, and that Bhagavan notices at each and every step. Such a devotee he is unable to find their prema with Bhagwan very easily. Therefore, Sri Jiva Goswami says, please repeat after me, Na hya punyavatam loke mudhanam kutilatmanam bhaktir bhavati govinde kirtanam smaranam tatha. Na hi apunyavatam loke, people who lack piety. Dear devotees, what is the reason that a person is crooked? A person is crooked because they do not have sufficient piety from the past, which makes them realize that one should be simple-hearted with Bhagavan. They do not have that piety from the past. Because of lack of piety, they are always with a crooked mind. They are thinking, what is wrong with this person? What is wrong? Everything, something must be wrong with him. Something must be wrong with everything in the world. Otherwise the world cannot work. Dear devotees. And therefore, before honoring Prashadam, there is that verse, Mahaprasade, Govinde, Nam Brahmani, Vaishnave, Swalpa Punyavatam Rajan. Does anybody know what is the meaning of Swalpa Punyavatam? Those who have very little piety, Vishwasa Naiva Jayate. They can't have that faith that, this Prashadam has that glory, that Mahima. Therefore, since such a person lacks piety, therefore their crookedness has not gone away. And out of their foolishness they do not attain true devotion unto Govinda. Thus they are unable to sing about and remember him properly. This, dear devotees, happens. First was crookedness, dear devotees. Does anybody remember what was the second? Lack of faith, ashraddha. Lack of faith in Shastra, dear devotees. The example that Sri Jiva Goswami gives is Prahlad Maharaj. When Prahlad Maharaj was presented with the option that he either agrees to Hiranyakashipu or he is slaughtered by weapons. So the weapons were brought in front of him and Prahlad Maharaj said, Vishnuhu Shastreshu Yushmasu. Bhagavan Vishnu is present in these weapons, in you and in me. By the force of this statement, nothing will happen to me. Prahlad Maharaj said. And nothing happened to Prahlad Maharaj. And then elephants were bought and Prahlad Maharaj was put under the elephants. The elephants tried to harm him with their feet, with their tusks, but the tusks broke. And at that point of time, Sri Jiva Goswami quotes a verse from Vishnu Puran, Danta Gajanam Kulishagra Nishthura Shirna Yadete Nabalam Mamaitat Maha Vipatpata Vinashanoyam Janardananu Svarananubhava. The sharp-edged tusks of the elephants have broken down while attacking me, Prahlad Maharaj said. This, however, is not due to my strength, it is merely an effect of repeated remembrance of that Bhagavan Hari. And this remembrance destroys afflictions. Very simple-heartedly, Prahlad Maharaj had faith in Shastra. Dear devotees, I'd like to ask you a very simple question. Bhagavan Narsimha Dev appeared for convincing whom? Prahlad Maharaj or Hiranyakashipu? I hope you are able to understand. Prahlad Maharaj was already convinced that Bhagavan is in the pillar. Who was not convinced? Hiranyakashipu. If Hiranyakashipu would have said, yes, I agree, Vishnu is present. End of story. Bhagavan would have not appeared. But Hiranyakashipu challenged that understanding and because of that Bhagavan had to appear to convince Hiranyakashipu. In some places in Srimad Bhagavatam, when Hiranyakashipu is speaking something, it is said Shri Hiranyakashipu Uvacha. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur asks, why Shri Hiranyakashipu? And the answer he gives is because Hiranyakashipu is the main reason for the appearance of Bhagavan Narsimha Dev. Not Prahlad Maharaj. The main reason for appearance of Bhagavan Narsimha Dev is not Prahlad Maharaj, because Prahlad Maharaj is already convinced that Bhagavan is within the pillar. The person who was not convinced is the reason why Bhagavan appeared. So ashraddha, lack of faith. Sometimes you may see such individuals saying things like this. Shastra is okay, but you have to understand that the modern world works in a different way. I hope you are able to understand. Sometimes you might have heard such statements. Shastra is okay, But you need to be in touch with reality. As if Shastra is not in touch with reality. You might not have read the Shastra which is in touch with reality, right? But you might not have seen all Shastra and therefore you are making such a statement. Shastra deals with all aspects of reality. But sometimes devotees who might not have seen Shastra in depth, who might not have understood what Shastra is trying to tell us, may say Shastra is okay, but here is something better than Shastra, here is what works for your bhakti. Nah. Shastra is all that is needed for execution of bhakti. And everything else is derived from that Shastra. At the end of the Mahabharata, Sri Vyasadeva made a statement. Yad ihasti tad anyatra yan nehasti na tat kvachit. Whatever is there in the Mahabharata, you will find in other scriptures of the world. But whatever you will not find in other scriptures of the world, that also you will find in the Mahabharata. That bold statement was made by Sri Vyasadeva at the end of the Mahabharata. Yad ihasti tadanyatra yan ihasti na tat kvachit. And whatever is not in the Mahabharata, you will not find in any other Shastra in the world. So that Sri Vyasadeva very emphatically proclaimed at the end of the Mahabharata. That Shastra contains the guidelines for progressing on the path of bhakti and that nothing else needs to be done besides following the path of Shastra. Many of us might have heard this verse. Shruti, Smriti, Puranadi, Pancharatra vidhim vina, aikantiki harer bhaktir, utpatayaiva kalpate. Besides following the path of Shruti, Smriti, Puran, anybody who says, I will make my own path, utpat, not path, he will do utpat. Utpat means he will create a disturbance in his own life or he will create a disturbance in the society. One of these two things will happen, dear devotees. Alright. Third is, dear devotees, abhinivesh. Abhinivesh is absorption in material life. And Sri Jiva Goswami gives the example of Maharaj Bharat, who despite having attained the stage of Bhava Bhakti, suddenly became absorbed in attachment to a deer. A question should be asked, dear devotees, was attachment to a deer so strong that it overcame attachment to Bhagavan? Please tell me. If attachment to a deer is so strong that it can overcome attachment to Bhagavan, what is the use of becoming attached to Bhagavan like Bharat Maharaj? The answer that Sri Jiva Goswami gives is, it was not simply attachment to a deer, there was some previous aparadha of Bharat Maharaj which had fructified in the form of attachment to a deer. It was not just simple attachment to a deer, some previous aparadha. Like some previous aparadha of Nriga Maharaj had fructified in the form of that incorrect charity. Similarly, some previous aparadha of Bharat Maharaj had fructified in the form of that overwhelming attachment to the deer which he could not give up, despite the fact that he had such attachment towards Bhagavan. Another thing, this is one example. Another example which he gives is Narad Muni. Even though Narad Muni attained Bhava Bhakti, at the end of his life, Bhagavan came to him and said, I am very sorry, Narad Muni, you will not be able to attain me in this life. In the previous life of Narad Muni could not attain Bhagavan in his previous life because Bhagavan said that you are not freed from all your material desires, dear devotees. This is abhinivesh, sudden absorption in material life which is caused due to previous aparadhas. We might have committed some Vaishnava aparadha towards a certain devotee. After a few years, we suddenly start feeling that the material world is nice, it has all the answers that we cannot find on the path of bhakti. And by this, dear devotees, a devotee becomes absorbed in the world outside and gradually falls away from the path. Dear devotees, next is Bhakti Shaithilya. Gradually, bhakti becomes very laxed. The devotees, they stop their sadhan bhakti, they stop uttering the names of Bhagavan, they stop their kirtan, they stop their smaran, etc. and become reabsorbed into material life. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says something about such devotees. Please repeat after me. Vishaya Vishta Chittana Vishnva Vesha Suduratah Varuni Diggatam Vastu Vrajanna Indrim Kimapnuya. Vishaya Vishta Chittanam. If you have again become absorbed in sense objects, Vishnu Avesha Sudurata, the possibility of getting attached to Vishnu stays far away. Varuni Diggatam Vastu Vrajan Aindrim Kimapnuyat. If an object is lost in the west, you cannot find that object in the east. Similarly, if a devotee is lost on the pathways of sense enjoyment, you cannot find that same devotee very easily on the pathway of prema. And this sense enjoyment has suddenly cropped up because of some crookedness in the past, which suddenly swayed them away from the path of bhakti and made them attached to sense enjoyment. And finally, there is Bhakti Abhiman. Bhakti Abhiman is, dear devotees, one of the 10 Nam Aparads. What is one of the 10 Nam Aparads? Please repeat after me. Aham Mamadi Paramo Namni Sopya Paradhakre. I and mine. How many of you know this offense? To have conceptions of I and mine, despite chanting the holy name for so many years, and despite hearing so many instructions on the subject matter, to have a conception of I and mine. And what is that conception of I and mine? Sri Sanatan Goswami explains what is the conception of I and mine. He says, such a person thinks, I am a great individual performing kirtan, I am a great preacher. Who can preach like me? Or who can render seva like me? Dear devotees, in this way, thinking like this, such a person performs one of the 10 Namaprads. And these, dear devotees, are symptoms of people who are falling away from the path. Please remember, if we understand these 5 symptoms, we can very easily understand who is falling from the path and who is staying on the path. What are the 5 symptoms, dear devotees? First is crookedness. What is the second? Lack of faith. What is the third one? Absorption in other things that make you fall from firm faith in Bhagavan. What is the fourth thing? Slackening. If your activities of sadhan bhakti are slackening. And the fifth thing is pride in executing acts of bhakti. Alright, if any of these symptoms are being seen, please try to understand that it may be fructification of some previous aparadh that is coming to be gradually, coming into fruition gradually. And the way to get rid of them, dear devotees, the way to get rid of all of these 5 is to perform our bhajan under the guidance of somebody who is simple-hearted. Because only by looking at a simple-hearted person will we have the conviction that bhakti works when you are simple. Else we will never have that conviction. And till the time that we have that conviction, it will become very difficult for us to advance on the path. The conclusion is as follows, dear devotees. I am showing a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Please repeat after me. Tam sukharadhyam rajubhe ananya sharanayandrabhi Kritagya kona seveta Duraradhyam asadhubhi. What grateful soul is there who would not render his loving service to such a great master as the personality of Godhead? He can be easily pleased by the simple-hearted ones. The verse says Rijubi. Riju means simple-hearted ones, who resort exclusively to him for protection. Whereas asadhubi, the crooked, unrighteous individuals, find it extremely difficult to propitiate, that is, please him. This, dear devotees, is the sum and substance of what the Acharyas are trying to say. The more we become crooked at heart, the more we are distancing ourselves from Bhagavan. Crookedness is needed to deal with people in the material world. But when we enter into a relationship with Bhagavan, all that crookedness should be kept aside, and with utmost simplicity we should surrender into Bhagavan. Otherwise, we will have all that crookedness in our bhajan, and that will affect us and bring one of these 5 symptoms, one or more of these 5 symptoms. And dear devotees, what will happen if one or more of these 5 symptoms come? We will not be able to attain the final goal. And what was the final goal? To become a big guru and have 10,000 disciples. No. What was the final goal? To have $1 million and a good apartment at the end of the day. No. Please tell me, what was the goal? Prema. Krishna Prema. Why did we come here? Why did we come to the International Society for Krishna Consciousness? Prema. In Hindi language, there is one proverb. आए थे हरि भजन को ओटन लगे कपास. We had come for performing Hari Bhajan, Krishna Bhajan, and we started our own cotton industry. This is the rough English translation. So there is a story behind that. There was once a person who left his home and came to Vrindavan. He left his family life, he became a sadhu, he came to Vrindavan. And when he came to Vrindavan, he come for Krishna Bhajan, Hari Bhajan. So every day he used to go and sit in the assembly of various sadhus who would speak Hari Katha. Now sitting, what should I do while sitting? My hands are empty, what should I do? So somebody gave him a piece of cotton. So he started rolling that cotton and he made a cotton wick one day. So somebody said, "Wow, Prabhu, you make very nice cotton wick." And in those days it was difficult to make cotton wicks because that was cotton which had seeds in it. So you have to pick the seeds out of the cotton first. That is called otana. Otana means you pick the seeds out of the cotton. So you have to pick the seeds out of the cotton and then you make it into a wick. So gradually, while sitting in the katha, he is making cotton wicks. And one fine day he has a record of making 100 cotton wicks in a single katha. So people came to, "Wow, Prabhu, you have exceptional skills. Why don't you consider, taking it up professionally?" So the first shop in Loi Bazaar was formed when a sadhu who came for hearing Harikatha ended up rolling cotton wicks, dear devotees. So that is the meaning of the proverb. आए थे हरि भजन को ओटन लगे कपास. That we had come for performing Hari Bhakti and we started our own cotton industry instead. So he started his cotton wick industry, and after a few years, well, you can't handle it alone, why don't you get a wife, get married. So he had left everything to come and perform bhajan, and then instead of performing bhajan, he ended up again in family life. So this, dear devotees, is the sum and substance. We left the material world and we came to the shelter of Krishna, and after a few years, in that very shelter of Krishna, we try to get back into the material world again and try to regain whatever we did not have in the material world. So why did we come to ISKCON? The reason was that we wanted to attain Krishna Prem. And Krishna Prem is very simple. You don't need to do, you don't need to do so many manipulative things in order to attain Krishna Prem. It's very simple. But we need that simple association. Otherwise it becomes very difficult for us. And sometimes you might have seen in the initial formative days, we might have met devotees who might have been crooked with us. And as a result of that, we might also be behaving crookedly. Please try to understand all of this is a result of previous crookedness. Please try to understand all of this is a result of previous crookedness that we have exhibited in previous lives. Somebody did not get a proper guru, somebody did not get proper guidance, somebody did not get proper friendship, somebody got crookedness in their relationships. Please know that all of it is a result of crookedness that was exhibited in previous lives. It has fructified in this life, But even now we have a chance that we can associate with simple-hearted devotees and perfect our lives. Alright? Thank you very much, dear devotees. Yadatra skhalitam kinchit vidvam saha purayantu tat. Yadatra saushthavam kinchit tad guroreva me nahi. Yadatra skhalitam kinchit. If there is anything mistaken in what I said, vidvam saha, your learned devotees, purayantu tat. Please correct any mistakes. But yadatra saushthavam kinchit. If there is anything nice, please remember, tad guroreva. It belongs to my simple-hearted Gurujanas. Me nahi. It doesn't belong to me. Because personally, I am not very simple-hearted. I could speak on this topic because I have experience of all 5 symptoms that were mentioned. So I am speaking out of experience, you can say. The symptoms, all those 5 symptoms. But I am very thankful that all of you were kindly present here today and you gave your valuable time to me. Thank you so much, dear devotees. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Yes, we have time for question and answers. Yes, and who is keeping track of time? No, nobody. So you tell me, Prabhu, when to stop. All right, Prabhu. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Would you please clarify one point? I would like to know: is the list that you presented presented in one place by one author, or did you compile it? I wasn't quite sure.
Alright, so yeah, I should have specified that, thank you. This is Bhakti Sandarbha of Srila Jiva Goswami, and in Anuched 153 he says this thing, and I am zooming it and showing it. Here is say Yataha Kautilyam Ashraddha Bhagavan Nishtha Chavakastva Antaravinivesho Bhakti Shaithilyam Swabhakti Adikrita Manitvam Iti Evam Adini. So this is Sri Jiva Goswami in the Bhakti Sandarbha. All these 5 are listed by him. I presented them as it is. Alright, thank you.
So you're a good student and you studied and you learned how to do all 5.
Yeah. From my practical experience, I have practical experience of all 5. So I am. You can ask me all questions about these 5. I can speak from experience. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much to be here. And my question is like Shraddha in Shastra you mentioned. So can you elaborate what does it exactly mean? Like just having book at home or diving deep into the book?
Just having book at home or diving deep into the book? Shastra is Shabda Brahma. What is the meaning of Shabda Brahma? Shastra is Bhagavan in the form of words. So, beyond the physical book, Shastra is Bhagavan's personal presence in the form of words. That is what Shastra is. Shastra is Bhagavan's personal body. Shabda Brahma, Param Brahma, Mamobhe Shashwati Tanu. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 6th canto, Bhagavan says, Shabda Brahma, Param Brahma, 6:1651. Bhagavan says to Maharaj Chitraketu, Shabda Brahma, Param Brahma, Mamobhe Shashwati Tanu. These 2 forms of mine. First is the transcendental sound and the form of the deity. These are my eternal forms. So, Shabda Brahma, transcendental sound, is Bhagavan. And Parabrahma, Bhagavan himself is also Bhagavan. So Shastra is Shabda Brahma. So when you are seeing Shastra, this is Aham Vai Sarva Bhutani Bhutatma Bhuta Bhavana Shabda Brahma Parabrahma. Each and every word is Bhagavan's personification. That is what we have to understand in the form of Shabda Brahma. When we are coming in contact with Shastra, we are coming in contact directly with Krishna. Yeah. That we have to understand. If we have that mindset, then we will treat Shastra as non-different from Bhagavan. But why should we treat Shastra like Bhagavan? It is just words printed on paper. I hope you are able to understand. It's just words printed on paper. These are not just words printed on paper. These are words which helped you attain prema. I hope you are able to understand. A lover may write a love letter to a beloved. And for a third person, useless characters written on a paper. I hope you are able to understand. But for the lover and the beloved, it is very special. Why? Because they speak of a message of love. So that feeling we need to have. Because we don't have that, if we don't have that feeling, that this is a message from that personality in whom my prema is supposed to be. I hope you are able to understand. Yeah? So, as long as we don't see Shastra in that manner, how will we have that, respect for that Shastra? So, Sri Sanatana Goswami says, Madeka Bandhu, my only friend, is my message from Srimad Bhagavatam. Because this is directly Bhagavan in the form of words. So that feeling we need to have. Alright? Thank you. Hari Krishna. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Guru, thank you for the lecture. I have one question about this Shastra. Actually, they said that Srila Vyasdeva, when he composed all these Shastras, actually, he was not satisfied. Because it was not like Bhagavatam is glorifying Krishna. So, also, I've heard that all the Shastras are not giving bhakti actually. So what we have to follow then from all the Shastras?
You see, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 4th verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Vyasadeva says, Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam. Nigama means Vedas and kalpataru means desire tree. The Vedas are like a desire tree. Which means that the Vedas are going to take care of all aspects of your life. If you want material enjoyment, the Vedas are there to ensure that you get the best of enjoyments without suffering any negative results. So that is also what Shastra is meant to ensure. And Sri Vyasadeva ensured all of that when he divided the Veda into 4 and when he compiled the Puranas. But after doing all of that, Sri Vyasadeva within his heart felt dissatisfied because Sri Vyasadeva knew he had given people everything for happy life in this world. Everything for a happy life in this world. But he had cheated them of the most important thing, which was that true happiness is in having prema of Bhagavan. And they may become happy in this world, no problem. But Vyasadeva could not feel complete until and unless he would have given them the highest fruit from the tallest tree. That what is beyond dharma, artha, kama, and what is also beyond moksha, what is also beyond liberation. Because almost everything in the Shastra points towards moksha, liberation. But is there something beyond moksha? Liberation is to ensure your happiness, final happiness. But is there something beyond your happiness? Please tell me, Prabhu. Yeah. All forms of religion in the world, they will tell you that in the afterlife you will be happy. But does happiness lie in making oneself happy? That's a big question. Happiness lies in making someone else happy. And that someone else has to be a person who knows exactly how to reciprocate. Who knows exactly what will satisfy you. And you should know exactly what will satisfy that person. That relationship we should all have. But Vyasadeva did not give that, and therefore he was unhappy. I hope you are able to understand. So
One related question then.
Yeah.
So most of the Shastras are meant actually for material happiness.
Yeah.
Yes. So like Srila Prabhupada gave us Srimad Bhagavatam actually, that's the ripened fruit as we presenting.
Yeah.
So we should always follow Bhagavatam, not all the other parts of the Shastras.
No. You should follow all Shastra.
All Shastras.
Yeah. Because anybody who rejects one part of Shastra and accepts only one part of Shastra is called Ardha Kukuti Nyaya. You reject that part of the hen which eats, and you only accept that part of the hen which gives eggs. So that is called Ardha Kukuti Nyaya. So Shastra has to be accepted in its entirety. I will give you an example. Somebody gets married, and a devotee gets married. New marriage, freshly into marriage. Right now he is not thinking about Krishna Prem. Right now he is thinking about how to have a good married life. Whom should he turn to in order to ensure happiness in his marriage? Material happiness. I am speaking about pure material happiness in a marriage. Please tell me, whom should he turn to?
The partner, logically.
Huh?
The partner.
No, the other part of the Shastra actually.
Yeah.
It's telling how to.
Yes. There is part of Shastra which tells him how to be happy in a marriage. What is material happiness in a marriage? Most people in the world don't understand what is material happiness in a marriage because they have not seen it from Shastra. I'll tell you what Shastra says. Happiness is learning 64 arts in a marriage. How to decorate your home. What sort of things the home needs to have. What sort of a mood the husband needs to have. What sort of a mood the wife needs to have. How should they greet each other. How should they wake up every day. What should they say to each other. How should they freshen up their mouth. Mouth fresheners. What are good mouth fresheners? I hope you are able to understand. All these are mentioned in some literature. Which literature gives this? Shastra. Isn't it? Therefore, Krishna said, Traigunya Vishaya Veda. Isn't it? The Vedas deal with the 3 modes of material nature. Arjuna is Traigunya. You rise above it. Rise above it is a different thing. But don't reject. Because Buddha rejected Shastra. I hope you are able to understand. We don't reject that part. But we may say that at this point of time, that part of Shastra is not applicable for me. That you can say. But we never reject any part of Shastra. Because we don't know at which point of time we may need that particular Shastra. So Shastra is there to ensure all-round happiness, including material happiness. When you need it, Shastra will be there for you. Therefore, it is your true friend. It will tell you that which no other guidebook in the world will be able to tell you. That is what Shastra will tell you. So please always keep Shastra very close to your heart. But keep Srimad Bhagavatam the closest.
Another related question. Another question pops in my mind.
Yeah.
Because now, I guess, you are telling like this. So this other shloka in the Bhagavad Gita, where also Prabhupada says, better perform your own duty perfectly than others' duty.
Yeah.
How do we...
Other way around.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
My English also not very good.
No.
So in that way, you don't get all kind of bad reactions actually.
Yeah. It is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sve Sve Adhikare Ya Nishtha Sa Gunaha Parikirtata. What is the meaning of that? It is firmly declared that steady adherence of transcendentalists to their respective spiritual position constitutes real piety. Whatever is your respective position, you be situated in that. Don't fall below that. That is piety. But try to advance above that. So what was your query?
So better perform your own. You are saying you are following the Shastras in that part.
Yeah.
So you don't following the path of adharma then. Actually.
Yes.
That is what.
Yeah, because in every aspect of your life, Shastra will be there to help you. There are many vyavaharik, practical aspects of life. In practical aspects of life, day-to-day dealings, how do you deal with people? So many of the other Shastras will help you. I'll tell you an example. When not to pay obeisances, tell me.
When not to pay.
Yeah, when to pay obeisances we know. When not to pay obeisances. And whom not to pay obeisances?
Not to pay front.
Okay. Okay.
When someone is dressing or eating.
Okay. Durastham jalamadhyastham dhavantam dhanagarvitam krodhavantam madonmattam namaskarepi varjayet. Durastham, somebody who is situated far away, don't pay pranams. Okay, because they will not be able to reciprocate or see you. Jalamadhyastham, somebody is taking a bath in the river, don't pay pranams. Because if they try to pay pranams to you, they may fall in the water. Dhavantam, somebody who is running, don't pay pranams. Because they may suddenly have to stop and they may trip over. Dhanagarvitam, somebody who is intoxicated with money, don't pay pranams. Krodhavantam, somebody who is angry, very angry. Madonmattam, somebody who is intoxicated with pride, etc. Somebody who is eating prashadam, don't pay pranams. Hari Bhakti Vilas adds to that list. Somebody who is eating prashadam, don't pay pranams to them. Even when you see in Radha Damodar Mandir, when the prashad is there, they close there and the parikrama is closed. Don't pay pranams at that particular point of time. When somebody is honoring prashad, don't pay pranams. It is impossible for them to reciprocate with you while they are honoring prashad. And of course, when somebody is taking a bath, of course, when they are in the bathroom, it is obviously they are alone. Nobody else is supposed to be there. So when they are in a bathroom, don't even go there. What to speak of paying obeisances there, right? So Shastra will guide you in all these practical aspects. So you may find many verses, not in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but in other Shastra, which will guide all these aspects of your life. So never to reject Shastra. It will help you in all aspects of life. How to deal with people in the world. It's very good guidance in Shastra. Alright? Thank you. So Prabhu had to ask them. Then we'll come to you, Prabhu. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
You mentioned one Harinam, then the condition came uttered with prema is greater than Yakya, Astanga Yoga. Can you elaborate a little bit on it? Because for me personally, uttered with prema is a problem.
See, actually it is without conditions. One Harinam, even without prema, can be greater than Yajna. We cannot put that condition. Why? Because somebody may utter without prema, but Bhagavan may decide that I still see it as an offering of love. I hope you are able to understand. Somebody may not give love, but Bhagavan may still consider love within that. Like Putana, she did not give love to Bhagavan, but still Bhagavan assumed love in her activity and gave her the result. I hope you are able to understand. You can't take that freedom away from Bhagavan of assuming love even though love is not there. Isn't it? So, actually there are no conditions. One Harinam even without love is greater than, But why I added is because we should ensure from our side that prema should be there. If prema is not there from our side, then no matter how much we utter the names, it may not be so effective. Yeah.
Is it because of making the endeavor? Like Shrutakirti once mentioned to Srila Prabhupada, I don't feel anything when I do for you, and then Prabhupada's response was, but you're doing it and that's love.
Yeah. When we are doing something, that is love. For example, when we are on the altar rendering service to the deities, that is one expression of love. But another expression of love is to understand the mind of the person, to enter into the mind of the person whom we love, and not just be done with the chores. Doing the chores is also love. The marriages are of two kinds, one in which both people are doing the chores and one in which both people understand each other's hearts. Which marriage would you prefer?
Last one.
Yeah, of course, the last one. So, relationship with Bhagavan is also of two types. And in both marriages, both couples say to each other, I love you. Of course, they'll say to each other on every anniversary. But relationship with Bhagavan is also like that. That either you do the chores, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. That is also love. Because you are doing what is expected from you. But to understand the heart of the beloved is on a different level altogether. And that is expected from the devotee who wants prema. Right? Yeah, Prabhu. And some from the Vaishnavas also will have some queries. Yeah.
I just would like you, if you can expand a little bit more on the same point, because the statements when even when Harinam is uttered unconsciously, and I'm uttering Harinam unconsciously for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's just I feel it's not in my experience, and therefore my mind goes to Artava.
Artava, yeah. What are you expecting from Harinam?
Upliftment of consciousness.
Okay.
Bhakti, some experiences that some change.
Yeah, some experience should happen.
Change.
Yeah, some change should happen. When we enter into a relationship with Harinam, we have to understand one thing, that Harinam was bought in this world, in this age of Kali Yuga, without any expectations by Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu, when he bought Harinam in this world, or when he propagated Harinam in this world, he propagated it in a way that you accept it without expectations, and when Harinam accepts you, it will accept you without expectations. Take processes for other ages. For example, Satya Yoga, Treta Yoga. Treta Yoga, what is the process for attaining perfection? Please tell me. Huh? No, that is Dwapar. Alright. Dwapar Yoga. Dwapar Yoga is deity worship. Is everyone eligible for deity worship? No. Only those who are twice born are initiated for deity worship. Even in ISKCON, only those who are twice born are eligible for deity worship. Not everyone is so many terms and conditions in the other processes. When Harinam comes, it drops all the terms and conditions. You accept Harinam without terms and conditions, and when Harinam will accept you, it will accept you without terms and conditions. Alright?
How to accept Harinam without terms and conditions?
That don't expect it to give anything. Just ask for one thing. Can you please give me Krishna Prem? Can you please give me Krishna Prem? That's all. Because the other things that we are expecting in this new age, and some psychedelic realization should dawn upon us, or our consciousness should be raised. Consciousness will be raised. Harinam will put us in association with a proper sadhu. Harinam will teach us gradually what is the most effective way of uttering it. You have made a lot of advancement in the past. How many years since you've been practicing?
17,
18 years. 17, 18 years ago, you were a very different person. Harinam helped you a lot. Maybe you may not be able to remember all the stages, but the best way to utter it is uttering without any expectations at all. That is a very good relationship with Harinam. Those who have uttered it in that way have gotten immense results in the form of Krishna Prem. Don't expect anything besides Krishna Prem. It can give everything else. There are people in the devotee society who chanted Harinam who got a lot of wealth. I'm telling you. People who had absolutely no educational qualification to attain wealth in the world outside, but became fabulously rich after becoming devotees. I have seen many examples of them. Would you like to become one of them? Sometimes.
The reality.
But that will not satisfy you. Because ultimately it is only prema that will satisfy you. Harinam may give or may not give. If it gives, then you should be concerned for yourself. If it gives you material wealth, then you should be concerned for yourself. Because that will become a big obstacle on the path of attainment of prema. So some things are obstacles on the path. Sometimes Harinam doesn't give. But if it gives, then the process may be delayed. Maybe at this point of time we may not be able to appreciate it, this line of thought. But ultimately it will make sense when one drop of prema arises within the heart. Alright, thank you. Yeah, Mataji. Vrinda Mataji. Thank you. Anurag.
Vrinda is on the way.
Yeah, Vrinda, yeah.
I'm very grateful to be here today. I came from Vrindavan to hear from you. Couldn't tolerate the gap in our online classes.
Thank you.
So you mentioned these 5 points, and in the end you said that the only counter activity is to do bhajan, sincere bhajan, under the guidance of someone who is simple-hearted.
Yeah.
So I assume that this person has to be an Uttam Adhikari, a Mahabhagavat Vaishnava. Can you share a little bit more and give us some taste about how is that relationship with someone who can really cleanse our hearts from these wickedness? Thank you.
Yeah, Uttam Adhikari, Mahabhagavat, Vaishnav. Yes, definitely such a person needs to be an Uttam Adhikari, Mahabhagavat. My main emphasis was such a person should have already attained prema. That is what. All other things fall under that umbrella. Such a person should have already attained prema. Because when a person has attained prema, then we will be able to see their simplicity in their activities, in their dealings with the world, etc. People may try to be crooked with them, but they will not respond with crookedness. You will see in their character, they don't respond with crookedness. The reason being that they don't find any value in such crookedness. And they also know that bhavopi abhavatam yati Krishna preshtha paradhata. There is a verse in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. One's bhav can become degraded if one commits aparadh towards other living entities or other Vaishnavas. Therefore, such premi bhaktas don't usually get into crookedness. And to associate with them is to see for ourselves that the process works. Because if the process has worked for this individual, it can also work for me. That conviction is only in the association of such a person. It cannot be had by reading Shastra. When you come in contact with such a person, that is when you know Shastra worked. What Shastra had promised has come true in this person. And that is the final conviction, that now I just need to follow the path that this person had followed. I will get the result. Until that point we are not convinced. We are not really convinced until we see a live example. Till that time it is all theory. The moment we see a person who has made it, that is the final conviction. But it's very rare to find such a person. It's very rare. It's the culmination of many, many lives of piety that one comes in the association of such a person. In the Bhakti Sandarbha, in the very beginning, Sri Jiva Goswami says that Yavat papaistu malinam hridayam, as long as the heart is spoiled by sinful activity and crookedness from the past, tavadevahi, till that time, na shastre satya buddhi syat, one cannot develop faith that Shastra is real. Sadbuddhi sadgurau tatha, one cannot get association of such a person. And how does one get? In the next verse, aneka janma janita punya, after many, many lives of devotional piety, phalam mahad, the great result of all of one's previous lives of devotional piety, satsanga, one finally gets to see such a sadhu. And in the association of such a sadhu, Shastra Shravanat, one hears the message of Shastra. Eva premadi jayate. And then prema is manifest in one's personal life. It doesn't happen so easily. Therefore, I always recommend devotees that please try to find such a sadhu who will make it very obvious to us that simplicity works. Simplicity works. Simplicity of heart works. Crookedness doesn't work. So that is always been my request to all the devotees. Otherwise the material world will convince you that even in the society of devotees you cannot be okay unless you are crooked at heart. That is the tendency of the material world. Alright? ठीक है. Hare Krishna. Anybody else? Alright, we'll pause here. Thank you very much. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
His Grace Hari Parshad Prabhu ki
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.